Welcome back to Broken Electronics. My name's Lee, and it's great to be able to be with you again today, as always. Right, today we're going to have the continuation in the series that I began of benchmarking and comparing quite a number of Power Macs. In our first installment, we had the Power Mac G3 Blue and White, the G4 Sawtooth, and the G4 Gigabit Ethernet. We're going to move on today with the G4s. This will be an all G4 adventure today. We'll start out with the digital audio, then the Quicksilver, and then two MDDs, one without and one with FireWire 800. This is going to be most interesting, I think. I will point out, though, the three that we did in the last installment, while they had been upgraded, were reasonably close to the stock configuration. Whereas these machines that we're doing today, the first two in particular, have been very heavily upgraded. The Quicksilver I took from a single 733 megahertz G4 and turned it into a dual 1 gigahertz G4. Now, there were Quicksilvers at the high end with that configuration, so we're still within Quicksilver range. The digital audio is a long way from stock. I believe the fastest processor that it came with was a 733 megahertz. What's in there now is a 1.47 gigahertz G4. It's also got quite an upgraded graphics card and the boot drives. Now, perhaps it would be best to get into the machine a little bit, or get into the video where we're seeing what the machine can do, and I can explain as we go through System Profiler to see what those differences are. I'm fascinated with this, and I am really looking forward to doing this installment. I am really looking forward to doing the next installment, where we're going to get to the incredible Power Mac G5s. If you are interested too, please stay tuned. Well, this is the Leopard desktop and the digital audio. We are using a different setup here. The three from the first installment were not capable of driving the Apple Cinema Display HD. All of the machines that we have in today's installment are in fact very capable of driving that display. This one, the digital audio, does not have an ADC port. However, by use of the adapter, it's working perfectly well. So let's start out in about this Mac. So there's the big one here, 1.47 gigahertz PowerPC. At least twice as fast as the fastest digital audio stock from Apple. 2 megabytes L3 cache, which is significant. Yeah, I keep complaining about this. Why did they get rid of one of those RAM slots so you can only have 1.5 gigabytes? I mean, the machine behaves very well with that. All right, System Profiler. And check out our graphics card. The graphics card we have here is ATI Radeon 8500, which does have 64 megabytes of video RAM. So should do some very good things for us here. All right, let us start out with our benchmarks. Now you notice I've got two different Geekbenches here. Geekbench 2.7 is Leopard only. I am going to use 2.1.13 simply so that it will be consistent with what we did on the other machines. And yes, we're in trial mode. All right, let's run the benchmarks. Okay, so as usual with this, I will wait through this so that you don't have to. Stay tuned. Well, here's the report. And yeah, kind of as expected. This is just a huge jump over the gigabit Ethernet, which has got dual 500 megahertz, going to this 1.47 gigahertz G4. Pretty amazing. So yeah, we're close on to 300 points higher. I'm going to be really interested in seeing how this compares with the Quicksilver upgoing. As I say, this is not a realistic score from anything like a stock gigabit Ethernet. The integer performance, 1011. Floating point, 1073. Memory, 425. And stream, 200. So, yeah, up across the board, but then again, everything is... Take a look at the integer individual, floating point individual scores, memory, and the stream. Okay. Too bad we can't save that, but that's okay. So let's move on to Xbench. Up here, okay. All right. We're running our tests. Yeah. One thing I was going to state, another thing, and this should show in Xbench, the boot drive. It's a 1 terabyte SSD, which is attached via SATA 1. Man, this is flying. So we should see the read and write speeds on the disk test zap up considerably. Okay, so I'll continue to wait this out. Please stay tuned. Okay, once again, my compliments to the gentleman who sold this to me with most of the upgrades already done. The overall score, 51.09. That absolutely blows away the gigabit Ethernet. Absolutely amazing. A lot of that with the CPU test at 6388. Jumping up like crazy. Thread test is also high, that's all CPU. Now the memory test, a little bit of a hit, but not too bad. Stream test. Okay, Quartz Graphics, 64.5. OpenGL, 60.70. Yeah, the disk speeds. Not the random. 487.54. Fast enough here in the sequential. But the total, yeah. So, the guy who did this work really knew what he was doing. And okay, this is the one that we can save. Did it again. Okay, yeah, go to school on this. Okay. All right, now let's close out the disk image. All right, and one more. Open mark, and this should be another big jump ahead. Gotta find my O's here. I guess open mark isn't in here. Xbench open mark. Okay. No, no, no. I know what it is. It is here. It is here. I just put the whole folder. All right. And here's where it runs. Okay, yeah, I mean, you can see that spinning going. Run the benchmark. Yeah, it can run. All right, so this goes pretty quickly, but we will let it run and be back with the results. Stay tuned. Well, the result is in, and it's pretty darn dramatic. 1411. Now, I think the Sawtooth, of course, the Gigabit Ethernet with its Rage 128 could not even run this test. But the Sawtooth with its 7500 could. And as I recall, it was like 330 something. This is over 1,000 points better. Again, I knew it was going to be better. I didn't doubt that at all. I am surprised that it's this much better. Well, anyhow, let's move on from here. We've got another machine to do. Next up is going to be the Quicksilver. And to me, this is going to be the most intriguing comparison between the two. How does the Quicksilver stack up with this mega upgraded digital audio? If you're interested in finding that out yourselves, please stay tuned. Okay, Leopard once again, this time on the Quicksilver. And yeah, I see, as I pointed out, now has dual 1 gigahertz PowerPC G4, which I put in replacing the 733 megahertz that it originally came with. All right. And we'll go to graphics. And here we see ATI Radeon 9000 Pro. I'm going to be really interested in seeing how this compares with the 8500 that was in the digital audio. This is going to be fascinating. All right, 64 megabytes of video RAM, comparable on the two. All right. And the other thing to look at here. The boot drive here, the Leopard drive, is an internal FireWire. I added that by PCI card. Whereas the other two drives, Tiger and OS9, are both on an IDE connected 120 gigabyte drive. That fourth one is my network file server. Okay, time to run some benchmarks. I am really curious as to what this is going to tell us. Geekbench. Yes, I know it's in tryout mode. Let's run them. Okay, we'll be back with some results, so please stay tuned. Well, will you looky here? The dual 1 gigahertz handily beats the single 1.47 gigahertz. That was, you'll recall, 834. So this is, what, like 88? I'm doing math in my head. I shouldn't do that. But something like that, just under 90 points higher. I am impressed. I am impressed. Score one for me because I did this upgrade. All right. There's our system information, of course. And we'll take a look at this. The integer performance at 1139. Floating point performance, 1187. Memory performance, 397. You know, I think that's actually up a little bit. So maybe the processors had something to do with the way the memory performed. I'd have to go back and look to make sure. And memory bandwidth. All right. Take a look at the individuals in the integer section. You can always pause the video if you want to go back and look at these things. Floating point. All those various individual tests. Memory. One that stands out is the right sequential, of course. And then the stream. Well, I've got to look at that again. 922. Will you look at that? I am really, really impressed. Score 1 for the Quicksilver, my friends. Okay. Moving on. Let's go to Xbench. Let's run all these. I'll be real interested in looking at this as well. Okay, my friends, please stay tuned. Okay, and here are these results. And this I find very interesting because it reverses itself. The overall score is 46.86. That's roughly 4 points less than digital audio, which probably accounts for the faster processor, and the tasks being checked are largely single processor tasks, I guess. Still in all, I mean, they're very, very, very close. All right. This is CPU test 5266, thread test 5856, memory test 3822 in total. I think it's down a little bit. Okay, Quartz graphics 5553, OpenGL 5360, and there are the disk test speeds. Yeah, and that makes sense. And there's a FireWire 400 drive, and that may be what's telling it right there. The fact that the drive is attached by a FireWire 400 as opposed to that SATA card. Food for thought there, isn't there? Definitely. But yeah, I bet that's what's making the difference between Geekbench, which is not testing disk read and write speeds at all, and Xbench, which is. Okay. Yes, we do want to save it. Okay. Save that to documents. Close out of that. Eject the disk image. And then finally, this is another one. I mean, I've been real interested in all of these. Let's see. How is OpenMark going to compare? The 9,000 opposed to the 8,500. Let's run it and find out. Okay? If you want to find out about this, please stay tuned. Okay, and this results in the Radeon 9000 1254, which is what, maybe 150 or so points less than we got on the Radeon 8500. I had thought they would be comparable. I really had. Might be interesting to see what would happen if I connected this to a monitor via the DVI rather than the Apple Display connector. But nonetheless. I mean, it's still a very, very good score. So I'm thinking it's pretty much a wash between the two. Um, I'm also thinking this machine has got 2 open PCI slots. There's definitely potential for an upgrade here. Well, anyhow, I'm tempted to stop here, but I think I'm going to push on with the 2 MDDs. Stay tuned. All right, I sat down to edit this video, and it became very clear very quickly it was just going to be awfully long. So I'm going to split it at this point. We've done the digital audio and the Quicksilver, 2 very similar machines. We will cut right there and then go on and do the 2 MDDs as a separate video. Probably be a little shorter, but what the heck, it won't be this one huge long thing. And then we shall follow that up with the Power Mac G5s. I hope that works for you. Be good to other people. Other people deserve it, and they really need it. Be good to yourselves. If you're not good to yourself, you're not going to be able to give other people what they deserve and need. We can make this world a better place if we try. It isn't. So until it is, take very, very good and careful care in these most difficult times. So we've got now 2 more coming up in this series. We've got some interesting upgrade videos, some of which came about as a result of having done this series. I have learned a lot already, and I think I will continue to. So, a lot of interesting stuff coming up. Now, until that stuff does come up, this has been Broken Electronics.